Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Power. So on this video, guys, we are going to discuss something that's been on in the news as of late. Elizabeth Holmes, and she will be starting her jail sentence, I believe, April 27th. So she's going to start serving an 11-year prison sentence. It's federal, so she's going to go to federal prison for 11 years. I'm not sure if in the federal system it's like 80% of your time or you get time off for good behavior. But as it stands now, the news has been that she is going to start serving her sentence, I believe, on April 27th. That's according to the news services. So yeah, Elizabeth Holmes going to federal prison. Um, and I made a video on what was going on with her case, her complaint, the SEC complaint against her. And this video I posted up back in February of 2020. So I'm just gonna let it play after I do this intro, and I'll play it for you guys. So it was from February of 2020. And I had a different investing channel at the time, and so I'm just bringing it to this channel, and this is just my intro. But just the basic rundown, guys. She basically created Theranos. I believe it was with another man, Baldwani or something like that. And it was basically a fraud. She was basically telling investors, she defrauded investors by lying to them, by telling them that they had a new technology where it was just all you needed, instead of vials and vials of blood for lab tests, for medical lab test, that all you needed is like a little pin drop from your blood. And that was a revolutionary thing in diagnostic lab work for your blood for medical purposes. And this was wrong. This was not the technology that Theranos had acquired at the time, and they didn't have this technology. And it was just basically lying to investors. Two of the major investors that she defrauded one of them was Rupert Murdoch, the major media mogul, and the other one was the others were the Waltons, the son's daughter of Sam Walton from Walmart. They're billionaires, by the way, but they still got defrauded. So they invested into a company that they, under false pretenses, they basically, their financial reports and their letters that they would write to investors were fraudulent. So the SEC made this complaint against Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes, and her, I guess, co-founder of Theranos. And they had a complaint, I believe, in 2018. So here's the video, guys. This was just the basic intro for you guys. Thank you for watching my channel, Power, and please consider subscribing. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Have a good one, guys. Elizabeth Holmes was charged, along with Ramesh Sunny Baldwani, with raising more than $700 million from investors through an elaborate years-long fraud in which they exaggerated or made false statements about the company's technology, business, and financial performance, guys. And this is coming from a press release from the Securities and Exchange Commission website, dated March 14th, 2018. So basically, guys, I read the complaint that the SEC has against Miss Elizabeth Holmes and Mr. Baldwani and Theranos Inc. And it's basically, they were claiming to having revolutionized the diagnostics industry. They were basically saying that the technology that they had created, where you would only need a few drops of your blood in order to do lab work. So it was no longer these vials and vials of blood that you would need to conduct a lab test for individuals that were sick, or just getting physicals or something. Investors, according to the complaint, believed, based on these representations, that Theranos had successfully developed a proprietary analyzer that was capable of conducting a comprehensive set of blood tests from a few drops of blood from the finger. Okay, so investors invested in this company based on these lies. Some of the investors, guys, by the way, Rupert Murdoch, the media mogul, was one of the investors. The Walton family, heirs of the Walmart, Sam Walton Foundation, Sam Walton Walmart company, the Walton family billionaires, they invested in Theranos as well. And so the complaint goes on to say that there was, let me see, Holmes also made similar statements to Grocery A, which it is believed to be Walgreens, guys, that Theranos has successfully miniaturized the conventional laboratory. Elizabeth Holmes, also told him that Theranos analyzers were being deployed in the battlefield based on these representations. In September of 2010, Grocery A, which I believe to be Walgreens, contracted with Theranos to offer Theranos patient testing in the Walgreens stores. So they were saying Elizabeth Holmes was lying to Walgreens, saying that their technology was being used in Afghanistan, and that was not true, guys. Let's see, the complaint goes on to say that at the end of 2013, Pharmacy A agreed to accelerate a portion of a $100 million innovation fee to help Theranos broaden its rollout services to Pharmacy A stores. Unbeknownst to Pharmacy A, Theranos was scaling its retail offering by relying on third-party analyzers. Okay, so it's all a lie, guys. Let's see. Beginning in 2013, Holmes and Theranos raised over $700 million from investors, and Holmes obtained super voting control of Theranos while misleading investors. Okay. According to the complaint, it goes on to say that as Holmes knew or was reckless in not knowing, however, Theranos often actually tested their own blood on third-party analyzers because Theranos could not conduct all of the tests it offered prospective investors on its proprietary analyzers. The other two reports were drafted by Theranos employees despite displaying logos of pharmaceutical companies. Investors believe that pharmaceutical companies had written their own endorsements of Theranos technology when the pharmaceutical companies had not. So they were claiming that their technology had been endorsed by major pharmaceutical companies in reports to these investors that they were trying to get on board. And it was not true, guys. It was just a major fraud, and it was a lie. Okay. This is a 24-page complaint, guys, filed by the SEC. It was filed on March 14th, 2018. Holmes and Theranos stated that Theranos manufactured all of its own analyzers when it actually used third-party analyzers to run the majority of its tests. Okay. So again, just a major lie, guys. By late 2014, while Theranos was raising a bulk of over $700 million it raised during the relevant time period, Holmes was aware that Theranos' retail rollout with Pharmacy A was stalled due to, among other issues, some concerns Pharmacy A executives had with regard to Theranos' performance. Okay. Elizabeth Holmes also told investors in late 2014 that Theranos services would be rolled out in more than 100 Grocery A stores in January 2015. But the relationship with Grocery A had already begun to stall in 2013, during which the parties had started discussing the possibility of modifying the contract so that Theranos would rent space in individual supermarkets. The parties were still engaged in these discussions in 2014. Elizabeth Holmes told multiple investors that approval was not required for the mini lab because Theranos was not selling its devices to other companies. Okay. Let's see. Promises by Elizabeth Holmes, where she told investors that Theranos had generated or would generate over $100 million in revenues in 2014, and that it was on track to make $1 billion in revenues in 2015. But this information had no basis. Okay, so she was just lying, flat out lying. Some of the Theranos projections provided to potential investors in October 2014 stated Theranos would earn $40 million from pharmaceutical services. $46 million from lab services provided to hospitals, and $9 million from lab services provided to physicians' offices, all by the end of 2014. And in reality, Theranos had no revenues from any of these lines of businesses, guys. Theranos exited the commercial laboratory business in 2016, and by the end of 2017, Theranos was on the verge of bankruptcy, guys. So it was a flat-out lie, guys. That's what she did, Elizabeth Holmes. And the case is going to go to trial at the end of this year. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that trial and follow that trial. Thank you for watching.